It's the TCTV training show. The TCTV training show. They're learning how to shoot and learning how to light, learning how to mic and edit right. These are TCTV's finest in training, doing their best with focusing and framing. It's the TCTV training show. The TCTV training show. You're watching TCTV. It's the training show. The TCTV training show. They will get better.
Hello. Welcome to Thurston Community Television's second Saturday event. We are here in Studio A, and I'm going to do a brief little tutorial and demonstration of Garageband. And here we are, and I'd like to welcome Tom and John. Hey guys. So, I like to teach the Garageband class mainly because it means that you can create your own music. One of the troubles that folks have is that they have a program and they want to be able to have music, and there's a great deal of music out there, and most of it is copyrighted, and you can't play copyrighted television on a channel without permission. So logically, if you can create your own, if you have a few skills, you should do that. In any case, I'm going to build a song here, and we will attempt to start a second Saturday jingle. And I'll be asking questions from you guys as to timing and chords and things like that if I run into a difficult decision-making period. So we go down to the screen and we see that wonderful little guitar, and that is the Garageband program. Garageband, by the way, is only available to iThings, iPads, iMacs, MacBooks, and the like. So I start by clicking on the Create an Empty Project, as you saw up there. Over here, we have a microphone. If I had a USB mic, I could plug a mic in and turn on GarageBand and go blah, 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 and I could sing for GarageBand. There is a MIDI device component where if you have a guitar or other amped instrument, you could plug that into the computer as well, and you could play your guitar and have it go into GarageBand. As for the drums, well, I'm not sure about that. Maybe a microphone or something, I don't know. But since I have no actual physical, real musical instruments, I'm going to use virtual ones. So this here is Play Sounds from Your Mac. And so I shall create a new song. Okay, so standard music, most of the pop music that you hear is 4/4 timing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. The display will be at 120 beats per minute, and this is 2 beats a second. Dance beats that you hear, trance, techno, and a lot of the house beats, are actually closer to 140 beats a minute, or 150 beats a minute. But since we're not creating a trance piece, we'll just use all the standard regular formats. Okay, so over here on the left we have a whole bunch of instruments to choose from, and then over here in this portion, let me move this out of the way. Over here, as you can see, one instrument is already up, and that is the classic piano. And we have over here, and so we have our instruments that will be in our timeline. This is our timeline that goes across here, and over here is a kind of piano. GarageBand gives you the option of either using a piano roll or using musical typing. For instance, as you can see this little keypad here, I've got ASDF, and if I press A, it displays displays what I'm typing, and then so I can do that. I don't generally like to use this mode because it doesn't suit my own preferences. I prefer an actual piano-looking device, which I can move around and make it bigger, and then I just click on something right here. Now on the top of the little piano, you can move this little highlighted blue thing, and that changes the octave. So if I do this, I get that octave, and if I move that around, I get a different octave. So the piano gives you an option of doing this. It's not as complex. You've got other functions that you can use with the musical typing, but I like the simplicity of the piano. Okay, just for fun, we'll do this. We'll do this one.
Okay.
Because we're just going to do some slow, long tones. So I have my piano, I'm all ready to go, and we run up over here and we look at that little red dot, and I click it, and then I go. And then I hit the space bar, and then I move this around. So I double click this, and I get my little editor. This is called a piano roll. And anyone who's not familiar with a piano roll, the old-time pianos, the way it worked is you had this big roll of paper and you stuck one end on the bottom, and you had another, you had the paper would come up and it would go over a roll, and the roll would start rolling. And there were little tines that would notice these little slots in the paper, and they would move, and when they would move, it would hit the piano keys. And so you would use this piece of paper with these little slots, and you could have it play songs. And so a piano roll is basically a little slot, one of these little green guys, that tells you what key you're on, and the length of it is the length of the time that we hear the key. And so what I can do with each note is I can move it all over the place. So I like the key of C3, and let's say I don't want the note to be that long. When I hover over the end of the note, I can change the length of it. And I want that out of the way, and then I move this one over, and I change the length of it, and I make it 2 beats, and then I move this out of the way, and move that. Oops, that needs to come up. So you see this little box right here, which corresponds to this box, and it's not big enough for me to do one more note. So what I do is I go up to this guy, and when I hover over the end, I get 2 different symbols. This symbol is a looping tool. It's a looping effect. And what that does is I can literally loop whatever I've recorded, the three notes I've recorded, and I can loop it over and over and over again. So you can do a short little piece of music, and if you really like it and you want it to just continue for a minute or two, because it's going to be a background sound or something like that, you can just loop your tunes. Well, I don't want to loop it because I'm not quite done with it. So if I move inwards a little bit, I get a different symbol. And this symbol simply extends my editing area that I can go in and I can edit.
So it expands your bounding box.
Yeah. I want to create another note like this one, and I have 2 choices. I can either record more music, and that would be fine, but it would start recording right after this one, and it would be in its own separate box. So I don't want to do that. Instead, what I want to do is just copy this note right here. And so what I do is the shortcut key for copy is Command C, and then I move my little playhead over here to where I want it to copy to, and then I hit Command V, and then I hit that guy. So I want to listen to this and see how it sounds, and I want to hear it over and over and over again because, well, I love the sound of my own music. So, so there's this happy little button up over here, and it is the looping effect. and oh, it's not long enough. So any music that I have, any instrument, all the stuff, it will play to the end of this and then start over, and play to the end of this and start over. And it can be really useful for sampling your music if you have several instruments playing together and you want to listen to them over and over again, and you want to tweak one or make some changes, and you're just not sure if you like that particular combination of notes or chords. The looping tool is really useful for helping you do that. So I move the looping tool to the same height or same length as the rest of the little editing window, and I move that back, and then I hit the space bar. Yeah. So that's really nice, isn't it? I would say it's nice, and it's also very boring. So what I'm going to do is I want just a little bit more pizzazz to that. I can either try a different instrument, because I find myself not enjoying that sound very much. Let's try the orchestra. Yeah, ooh, a harp. Oh, there's no harp. Choir? Nope, no choir. Percussion? Nope. Pipe? Nope. Ooh, string ensemble. Oh, let's hear what that sounds like. Isn't that pretty?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. 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 So I'm liking that. That's sounding pretty nice. And
Pardon me. So you selected the piano,
yeah.
then went over to the panel with all the instruments and
Yep.
selected a new instrument, and then that automatically replaced the piano with the new instrument you selected.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever instrument is selected here, the output or whatever you have activated, that's the sound that you will hear. Okay, so I want another instrument. Yeah, before I start harmonizing, I want another instrument, so I've got this little plus right here, and I do that, and it gives me my little window that asks me what do I want, and I want another virtual instrument, so I create another instrument, and it automatically gives me a classic electrical piano, and I want, ooh, rain clouds. What does a rain cloud sound like? That's very interesting. Sea of glass? I kind of like that. So I clicked on it, and notice how the sound just keeps on going.
Sustaining it.
Yeah, it's got a nice sustain. I kind of like the rain clouds because. Okay, so I'm liking that, and we'll move our playhead back and hit record. Okay, and I hit the space bar. I want this note.
That sounds eerie.
Yeah. Well, we're just kind of building some sounds and change. Yeah, I like this note. That should be nice. That should be really interesting. So let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I think maybe I will try a different instrument. Well, okay, something that my music is absolutely lacking is a beat. We need a beat. So what we will do, since I am very lazy, I'm going to go to the loop section and pick a sound that has already been created. So we go up here and we've got a number of different things, and it's looking for the loops, looking. Aha! There they are. There are hundreds of them, and they're all just a little bit different. And I can isolate the kind of loops that I'm looking for, because this list right here is listing all the loops available. What I can do is I can just pick drums. And what that will do is that will, from my list below, it will eliminate everything that is not drums. And I want a particular kind of drum. I want cheerful drums. So all I have to do now with my cheerful drums, because my music is rather dark and depressing, and we simply cannot have that at all. So blah, 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 blah. We want cheerful drums. So I just click on this. Okay, that's fun. Let's try something else.
I like the first one.
Oh, how about a club dance? Okay, that's kind of too cheerful for me. I like that one. So you'll notice that some of these little buttons are blue and some are green, right?
What's a reggae? Not impressed.
And in many cases, when you have loops that are right next to each other, you'll see this is Island Reggae Drums 1, 2, and 3. And they are all just variations of each other. And they all got numbers. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll grab, oh yeah, funky Latin drums. Gotta have them.
Right.
Okay, so what I do is I literally click and drag and throw that in there. And you'll notice that it looks a lot different, right? And it's got kind of a funny shape right there. So if I click on that, you'll see over here, I've got this little sound wave pattern. It's a waveform pattern. And
Okay.
and so the blue ones, when you grab a loop, you're literally grabbing a recording that someone did. Someone was playing the drums, and they recorded a little piece of that. And so that is something. This particular kind of loop is not something that we can manipulate or change or do much with. It is as it is. And but we can go here, and we can, we can create a loop. And so what I've done is I've created a loop of a loop. So let's listen to this. So that sounded pretty cool, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. I want to try something else. So if I put a piano roll type of sound in a slot, an instrument slot where there is a waveform pattern, then it will turn my piano roll into a waveform. And I don't want that. I want to be able to do stuff with this one. Because as you can tell, this is a little piano roll here that I can change. I can mix up the beat. If I'm unhappy with the beat, the green ones, if I pick a green one, I can change things. I can eliminate little bits and pieces, or I can add more intensity to the sound. And I can do all kinds of stuff with it. So let's see what that sounds like. Well, wait, I'm gonna loop this and only get part of a loop. And I put this drum beat outside of my loop area so I don't hear it, and I can just listen to this one. There are other ways of doing it, but I'll show you in a second. Well, I don't like that one as much. So what I'm going to do is I go over here and I mute this particular instrument, and I take this and I'm going to bring it back, stick it back in there. Now, there's one element of music that I noticed, and there is when the notes go lower and lower and lower and lower, it tends to have a darker feeling, a sadder feel, more depressing. But if I raise the notes higher and higher and higher, I believe it's called progressive beats, it goes a little higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this note, and the other thing I'm going to do is change this a little bit, and I want another note. So I Command C and copy paste, and I'm going to move this over here and make this a shorter note. So now our music is going upstairs instead of downstairs, and it should have a happier feel to it. Let's try that sounds pretty cool.
Ooh.
You want to hear what that sounds like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not sustained enough. So what I want to do is, I'm thinking that I want to add some effects. Oh, hey, look at that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So I'll fiddle with these. Okay, so click on the master. Ooh, look at these things.
Ooh.
Yeah, squeeze, bright.
Ooh.
What does it all mean? This,
Come back for course number 3.
This would be changed. This would bring up the low tones or mid-tones or high tones. We could add a limiter so there's no popping and hissing when the sound gets too high. Oh, that did it. Okay, so double-clicking on one of your tracks seems to do the trick.
Okay.
I'm gonna record a little bit more music. There. So that's the way I do it. So something else Garageband does is if I highlight a bunch of them, I can draw a little box and then move them around. So okay, so let's see what this sounds. So
That's
this
nice
timing,
progressive there.
yeah, but the timing is off a little bit. So let me move this one over here, shorten the length, and see how that sounds. Well, let's see how that sounds. Well, what if we made it a couple notes higher? that sound?
Yeah.
What I can do is I can also copy and paste an entire instrument sound set. Instead of looping it, what I want to do is I press copy, and then I move my playhead over here, and then I do paste, and then I can do this. So this way we can listen to 2 loops of the same thing with a little bit of a rest in between. Hey, come back here. Now, somehow I inadvertently turned off my looping unit here. Let's do this. Turn it back. Oh, well, that sounded terrible now, didn't it? The way the music is arranged, I've got the rain clouds, this instrument set up here. I've got this changing chords and changing notes. And the notes aren't necessarily, if we click on this, the notes are different lengths and they come in at different times, but they're different lengths. So this second set may not actually work very well for that group. So what I can do is I can take this second set, it is now its own thing. I suddenly decided I need some strings in the background. What do you think?
That's kind of interesting. Very, very subtle in the background, very low in the volume.
String cycles. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, record. Okay, that was cool. I was just kind of making music on the fly. We're about out of time. Garageband does a nice little thing for me. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So my notes are not timed well, so what I can do is I can go to this little time counter thing, and I can change it. And if I go to 1/8, see how it moved those around? It will move the note to the nearest 8th note. And if I go down here, it will move the note to the nearest 16th, which is just fine. So it'll make it sound better. So let's listen to this once more. Well, we're out of time. I want to thank you for tuning in to Thurston Community Television's second Saturday Garageband tutorial demonstration thingy. So thank you for watching, everyone, and have a good day. Bye-bye. Everyone say goodbye.
It's the TCTV training show. The TCTV training show. They're learning how to shoot and learning how to light, learning how to mic and edit right. These are TCTV's finest in training, doing their best with focusing and framing. It's the TCTV training show. The TCTV training show. You're watching TCTV. It's the training show. The TCTV training show. They will get better.